Hello, everybody. Hi, hope you're doing wonderful. It's beautiful Sunday morning here, and okay, go get your water from up. Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's beautiful Sunday morning here. Please let me know if you guys are able to hear me. Hi, Priya. I hope you're doing wonderful. Hi, Antra. Please let me know if you're able to hear me. I just need to make sure that you guys are able to hear me. And before we begin, a very, very happy Mother's Day to everybody. I hope all of you are having a wonderful Mother's Day or had it if you were in different parts of the world. So Antra, can you just message and comment if you're able to hear me? Hi Hansika, I'm looking forward to speaking with you. It's such an honor and such a pleasure speaking with you. And we'll start talking with you in a while. Uh, so I just need to know if you guys are able to hear me because I have this earphone which I'm using for the very first time and I'm not really sure how it works. So just let me know if you guys are able to hear me or not. And before you get worried and start thinking, who is this Parul joining from my secret bookshelf? So let me really quickly introduce myself. My name is Parul Agrawal and I'm an author myself and uh, a publisher and publicist located here in the United States. Of course, I'm from India, but I've been living in the US for the last 16 years. And I have, hi Vikram, I see you just joined. Hello. And I've been, in the publishing industry for a relatively some time. I wouldn't say a very long time, about 4 or 5 years. And I've helped, I think by this year end, I would have helped around 400 authors, to write and publish their books. And this brings me real joy because getting the word out there, helping authors share their message with the world is such an honor and such a joy. So before I actually, keep talking about myself, I just wanted to give you a real quick overview of what we are going to do today. I will be speaking with Vikram. He is the publisher of Mohini Books from Norway, and he published a beautiful book, Fearless Love, which is an anthology poetry. And I'll be speaking with one of the authors. Her name is Hansika Jethnani. And then I will actually bring Vikram in, and he'll share his insight of what made him, publish such a beautiful work. So if you're ready, then I would like to invite Hansika. And let me warn you, this is the first time that I'm doing Instagram Live. I did a trial run yesterday, but actual very first time that I'm doing a live. So bear with me if we have any technical issues here. So let's see, Hansika, can I call you? So it says waiting for Hansika, and I hope I'm able to hear when she is in. And let me know how everybody is doing. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You look lovely.
Thank you.
Yes, so where are you located, Hansika?
I live in Bombay currently.
Okay, and how was Mother's Day? How is everything out there?
Yeah, quiet. I don't live with my mom, so I wished her from afar. But yeah,
Okay.
it's a day to celebrate all mothers and all kinds of people that are mothers. So yeah, it's a beautiful day nonetheless.
I agree. I agree. My Mother's Day just started, so we'll see how it goes. So tell me, how was your experience, being a part of this anthology? How did you get to know it? I just want to listen more about your experience.
So actually, my sister found a call out online because I think Mohini Books had put out an open call on social media as soon as kind of they decided to put together this beautiful anthology after Section 377 was decriminalized in September 2018.
Okay.
and my sister sent it to me, and yeah, I just ended up sending my poem, and after that, Vikram and I had been in touch about it. So yeah.
That's amazing, and I'm so happy to know that there are different viewpoints that are coming out now, and people are so open. So what is your poem about? Can you tell me a little bit more about it, and how long did it take for you to write this, or you already had written it in the past and just shared it?
So I'd actually already written it in the past before the call out and before I came across it. I wrote it pretty quickly, actually. It was a poem that came to me quite naturally. It's kind of about my relationship with my partner, how that started. It's also
Okay,
about my journey, a little bit about like coming out and kind of letting go of all these labels that are often put on us without
absolutely,
us deciding
absolutely.
what label we want to go by. And yeah, it was just one of those poems that came to me really naturally. Sometimes I struggle to write, then there are times that I don't struggle to write, where a thought just comes to me and I'm able to just write a poem within like 3 to 4 minutes. So this was definitely one of those poems.
That's amazing. And then, do you often write? Are you a poetess, or do you write other genres also?
Yeah, mainly poetry. Sometimes a bit of prose,
Okay,
but more often than not, it's poetry. Yeah.
amazing. And have you also written in other books, or do you write other places, or is it just some people write like I write, but I sometimes don't even share it because it's more of a healing process for me. So, is it similar for you, or do you also write and share it with the world most of the time?
So it's a bit of both. I think for the longest time I used to just write for myself, but then I'd say in the last 3 years I've been sharing a lot of what I've been writing. And yeah, there's another anthology um, called Love as We Know It, published by Delhi Poetry Slam. And yeah,
Okay.
one of my poems called A Love Letter to My Body, I Wish I Read Growing Up, is actually in that anthology as well. So yeah, it's been really nice to be able to put my work out there in ways that are different to Instagram, because obviously Instagram is a really great platform to share poetry, and in the last few years that's kind of what
Sure.
I've been using. But yeah, I think seeing your poem in a book and being able to put out your poem in the world through an anthology is really beautiful, because it also feels like a collaboration with other poets and writers.
I agree. And so, what is the title of your poem for this particular book?
It's called My Heart Wrapped in Rainbow Candy Floss,
Oh,
or Our Heart
beautiful.
Wrapped.
Oh, beautiful. And if you have the book, I know I'll share the cover, but if you have the book, would you like to just show it to our people here? It's a beautiful cover, beautiful. It's a beautiful cover, and I'm glad you showed it because I just have the front that I could put online. So the back is such a extension. Okay, so thank you so much. Anything else you would like to share? How was your experience? Being a part of this, working with Mohini Books.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Vikram is really, really incredible, and I'm sure you'll all think that once you hear from him after me. But yeah, he's really incredible to work with. He is a really honest person, and um, I still feel like I'm a very young artist. I'm a young poet, still learning a lot, still growing a lot, and yeah, I really appreciated that I had this opportunity. And yeah, I just want to thank Vikram as well for that.
Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your insight about poetry and the literary world. And I think I need to call Vikram. For that, I have to bid adieu to you. Thank you so much, Hansidi. Yes.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye. My pleasure. So it says we have to remove, and then we have to invite somebody else. Hi, Yashi. Yash, thank you so much for joining us. And then Vikram is here with us, so I'll just add him. And it says Vikram writes connecting. Hey, Vikram, how are you?
Hi Parul, how are you?
I'm
I'm
doing
feeling
wonderful.
That's good. And I'm glad that you said that you're new to this because this is my first time as well. And
Oh, I am, and I'm
um,
like, yes.
but it's good to do new stuff. I feel like my heart beating, so I'm alive. It's exciting.
And that's most important, right? And I was thinking,
Yeah.
how on Facebook we could actually share it, but I'm trying to share it on my profile. I don't think we can do that, so it's a new learning for all of us every day. Tomorrow, are you on TikTok? Because that's the big thing these days, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm getting old. I'll be 40 this year. I feel like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so much with you. I just turned 40 on April 2nd, and I had a beautiful quarantine birthday. So no
Mm,
complaints there. Yeah.
that's
So
good. Yeah, it's beautiful to see how people are so creative with the constraints that we have now, right?
it is, definitely it is. Yes. I had a surprise birthday party. All my friends met on Zoom, and one of my
Mm.
friends kept nudging me. Are you available at 8 p.m.? I really have something. Yeah, my friend Priya is saying 40 is not old. I agree, Priya. It's not old. 40 is the new 20s. But one of
Yeah,
my friends kept nudging.
I think the World Health Organization just said that I think you're young up until 60 or something now. It's from 60 and up, that's old now. So keeps changing,
Yes.
right?
And by the time we
Yeah.
are 60, Vikram, it will be the new 30s, maybe, right? So we'll be again young.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thank you so much for joining me here today. And thank you for bearing with me on this first Instagram Live. So, before we go ahead, I wanted to actually share your book, beautiful cover. I think we can see it, right? Yes, we can. So tell me, I was just, when Antra asked me to get in touch with you and interview you, I was just very excited to learn more about your work because I'm sort of in a similar field. And what made you come up with this idea of Mohini Books, and what kind of books do you publish here?
Mm. Yeah, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to say something about that. I'll just first of all maybe say something about the cover because I agree this is a beautiful cover. The
And if you have
painting
the book, sorry
is,
to cut you off, if you have the
yes,
cover, can you show it because this is not doing
I'll show it.
justice to us. Beautiful, yes.
Can you
I
see it?
can. I
Yeah?
can. Yes, I
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
So this is a painting. It's based on a painting by a queer Indian artist Balbir Krishnan. He's an
Okay.
absolutely amazing artist. He's kind and he's wise and he's just yeah, great. And a lot of his work actually explores kind of queer sexuality, spirituality. So yeah, and then
Okay.
we've had two people do the actual design and layouts. One is Stefan Storm, who's my colleague in Mohini Books, and then the other is
Okay.
Alan Lance. Yeah, so two Norwegians contributing on that. And it was Stefan and me. We had the idea of Mohini Books in 2017, I believe. Yeah, so it's been three years now.
Okay.
And we wanted to create sort of it's a very very small queer micro publisher,
Okay.
but we want to and the kind of the name kind of says something, I guess. We take our inspiration from the Indian myth of Mohini,
Sure.
which celebrates it really celebrates like a diversity and a fluidity of sexuality and gender, playfulness, and a subversive spirituality, we believe. So that's kind of our our founding myth, to put it that
Okay.
way.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. So you just what was the curve? Like, how did you come up with this idea of starting this publication? Were you, not getting relevant content that was out there, and you thought, wanted to publish your own? Because when I got into publishing, it was essentially because I wanted to publish my book, and I couldn't find the right people. So something similar happened to you, or you just wanted to give voices to people that were different?
I guess it's mixed motivation, I guess. I had one book already published called The Empty Chair, Tales from Gestalt Therapy. That was published by a sort of, it was published by an established kind of publisher in Norway, but it's not very not very mainstream and big, but then it was published in English by Routledge, which is a very big publisher. But at the same time, I feel that there is still the need for publishers who are looking for and want to really nurture specific voices, I believe. And I think my experience as well, I've worked with smaller publishers afterwards. And I think my experience has been really good working with smaller publishers who really have, a mission, something they believe in, rather than a very big kind of business-oriented publisher. And it was, and then also Stefan and I, we both really enjoy reading, we enjoy writing. Okay. Stefan is an excellent editor. So, and we've had fun, growing older as well. We have some experience, I guess. So we wanted to also maybe contribute with that when it comes to kind of editing and supporting new writers. It's fun, and I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's important.
And then how did you come up? I have a few questions and I was just reading them, but how did you come up with this idea of this anthology, like Fearless Love? And how did you reach out to the right people?
Yeah. So as Hansika mentioned, on 6th of September 2018, a very, very important verdict came from India. Right. I mean, it's important for Indians, but it's important actually worldwide, and not just for queer people, but I think for everybody, because it's about the right to love. And as one of the judges in that verdict says, the right to love is a battle for everybody. It transforms society, it transforms people's lives, and that's what this is about. So that was kind of, the idea behind the name of the anthology as well, Fearless Love. We wanted to really celebrate love that is brave, love that will defy norms in society, such as caste norms, community norms, that you can't marry across ethnicities, for example,
Absolutely.
Or gender and sexuality norms. So that was kind of, we really wanted to celebrate this verdict. It's an absolutely beautiful verdict. So we've included quotes from the verdict as well in the anthology, and we use the quotes to kind of, in our social media campaign, to get, people writing and to get people to submit. And the verdict is a mix, of law, but it's very inclusive. So there is poetry in the verdict. There is Leonard Cohen is cited in the verdict. It's Shakespeare is in the verdict. So it's a very inclusive verdict, both in terms of the content and the form, the way it's kind of done. So much has been included there. Not just like strict kind of legal text.
Right.
So it's a very sort of it's a verdict that in my mind, it kind of really embodies love, the right to love. So we were inspired by that to kind of do something to celebrate it and do it in the same spirit as the verdict. So we wanted to do it very inclusive, include various genres, and let the kind of overarching theme be fearless love.
Beautiful. And when was this book released, The Fearless Love?
So the ebook and the PDF was released on the 1-year anniversary of the verdict. So that was 6th of September last year.
Okay.
And then we had, we were so lucky to be invited to the Rainbow Literature Festival in India, which was a massive, absolutely beautiful festival celebrating queer lives and queer experiences, which was in December last year.
Okay.
And Hansika was also there then to share her poem. So that's actually the first time I met her, in person.
In person, yes.
And that's also something about, literature and maybe especially queer literature. It kind of creates a home. It creates, a sense of belonging. We belong. We share some experiences. And Hansika and I have been really good friends. We've really clicked, and our partners have as well, I think. So it was so nice to see her on the screen here now, speaking from Bombay.
I know it does. Because throughout the process, I'm sure the book took a couple of months, to publish while you were in the publishing process, and in that time frame, you actually become a family, right? So you start really interacting on a different level with all your authors, whether you meet them in person or not. So having said that, I think you did mention this briefly, but Yashodhara, I think she wants to know why the name Mohini. I do think that you did cover that briefly, but just if you want to really go over it again quickly.
Yeah, so I won't go into the myth itself, but there is the myth of Mohini in kind of Indian mythology, and it's very briefly, it's about kind of changing genders and a playfulness. It's Vishnu at some point becomes or manifests as Mohini, a very beautiful woman.
Okay.
So, and there is this very playfulness between then Mohini and Shiva also at some point. So Mohini, the myth, kind of inspires us in terms of this playfulness or diversity of gender and sexuality, to really celebrate that. And also to kind of, our focus is subversive spirituality, we say. So our first book was, I'll just show the cover of the first book as well, perhaps.
Please do.
Yeah?
Please do.
So the first book was, this is called Taste and See, A Queer Prayer. And I'm the author of this book. And it's a story about a gay man's search for love in the time of, dating apps or hookup apps. And it's written as a poem. So it's a sort of narrative poem. And the longing that this person feels, and is, very much based on my own sort of experience, brings the person first to all these dating apps to kind of find love, and it's not satisfying. And then eventually he goes to a retreat where he has a sort of a love affair with Jesus. So, and this is what I mean about subversive spirituality. We want to really celebrate that. We think there's, such potential in spirituality as well for our lives. But a lot of queer people have had a sort of difficult relationship, right, with a lot of religion and religious institutions.
Absolutely.
But we believe that, spirituality at its core is really a very subversive power when it comes to some of these establishments. It kind of breaks up categories, such as the story of Mohini, for example, does.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful. I love how deeply you thought about this whole process before coming up with this name. And I could feel that this is something so close to you, even in the logo and the title, the way it seems really powerful and something that people could resonate with. So another question, I think this is from Book Witch. How to choose a genre for writing? And I think it's a very generic question that he's asking. I mean, how do you really choose whether you want to write a poetry, a fiction, nonfiction? Do you have any advice on that?
I don't know. How do you choose? I think, how do I choose? I'm not sure. I guess it depends on so many factors. It's what you want, what kind of, maybe what talent do you have, what comes naturally, what do you want to do? Do you read a lot of poetry yourself? Do you enjoy that? Do you read a lot of fiction yourself? Do you enjoy that? Yeah. I think I also like to really cross genres, So some of my work is really, like, for example, the first book of Mohini Books, this Taste and See, is a story in the form of a poem, right? So it's kind of a story, but also then in the form of a poem. And I played a lot with genres. So in other works of mine, I kind of mix, poetry or short stories, kind of more almost legends, more nonfiction. If it's fiction, nonfiction, I play with that. So I think it's possible to just play with it a little bit.
Yeah. And how did you decide that this particular book, The Fearless Love, has to be poems? Because was it something that, speaks itself because poetry is beautiful flow anyway? Or did you decide to start off as small stories and then it developed into a poetry book?
So Fearless Love is not a poetry book. It's
is it not?
It's an anthology of... Okay. No, so I'm glad you asked
so sorry.
that.
Okay.
Because it's No. I'm really glad you asked, because then it's and that's actually part of our kind of idea about the book as well. We wanted it to be so inclusive, just like The Verdict is so inclusive, and The Verdict includes poetry, it includes queer theory, feminist theory, it includes law, it includes personal stories of people who have been persecuted. So we wanted to do much the same. I think the inclusiveness, I think, is a value that's kind of the best of Indian culture and queer culture when it really works, you know? This inclusiveness that's just like, okay, poetry, stories, essays, there's song lyrics in there, there's a letter in there. So we have all kinds of genres represented in Fearless Love. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to get that book, really, you know. And I believe it's also available at My Secret Bookshelf bookstore if anybody wants to get it.
Yes, and I'd like to just mention that especially because, you know, this edition, the one with this absolutely beautiful cover, is only available in India from My Secret Bookshelf.
Oh, wonderful.
So if you, yes, I would really, and it's a limited edition, so I really would, you know, recommend that you get it from them. And then if you don't need it just like that, it's also available as an ebook. But, you know, I like the physicality of a book, you know,
And
we're
who
so much
wouldn't
online
want,
and everything.
yes, and on Kindle you will be able to see only the front cover, right? Here you can see the entire beautiful cover, and this is something that people would definitely want to have in their shelf. So again, this is available at My Secret Bookshelf, limited edition, only in India, and they'll start shipping once they are allowed to ship after all this craziness ends. So Vikram, Smita, she wants to ask something, and I think it's a really valid question considering the kind of book that we are talking about here. Were there any challenges that you faced during the process? And if so, what did you do to overcome them?
So, so I was the editor along with Stefan Storm on this book, and we kind of we found our way along the process. We got various submissions, and we also reached out to people, and then we kind of figured out how we were going to do it along the way. And one thing that became really important to me, and I think maybe I persuaded Stefan a little bit, was that we want the inclusiveness to be a guiding thing. So actually all submissions were included. Everyone that submitted was included here.
Beautiful.
And yeah, and we also wanted it to be a very dialogical and inclusive process with the writers or the people submitting. So we as editors, we came with feedback, but then it was up to the writer themselves if they how they wanted to, you know, work with that feedback. So, and I think part of the reason, or my thinking behind that at least, is that as queer people, you know, we are defying certain norms in society. We're used to people saying, this is not right, you know, your love is not right, your desire is not right. So I think for us as a publisher, and also me as an editor, I want to really be mindful of what I'm saying no to and how I'm saying no and yes.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't know if that answered some of the question, but then it became sort of a process between me and Stefan, but then also between us and the people submitting, how we were kind of conveying our feedback and not kind of pushing it too much, letting it be up to them.
Absolutely. And I love that. You know, I love how you say that it really, we are here to not follow any rules, but create our new rules. And that is so important in the literary world. I help people publish books also, and they get really worried that they need a foreword, they need an introduction, they need to follow a celebrity for the foreword. I'm like, you know, people, that's the good thing about self-publishing your own books. You really do not have to follow any norms, and the process itself should be a beautiful process and not something that stresses you out, right? Because you're really doing or writing for the fun of it. So, and that's how we kind of come up with new rules. I don't know if it makes sense, but why not?
Yeah.
Right? Yes. So
yeah, and I think I agree with you. Can I just jump in there?
Absolutely.
Because I completely agree with you, Parul, that, you know, it's great with self-publishing and what's possible now. It's a real kind of democratization of this. At the same time, I would say that, you know, when I publish something, I really do want somebody to read it, and somebody I really trust to read it, you know, to get feedback. So I would say that that's really key. To get some other eyes on what's been happening. And that's kind of what we wanted to provide as editors as well. We said, you know, everything will be included in Fearless Love, but we will provide some feedback, and then you see how you want to work with that feedback. And I always have, when I write stuff myself, I'll always have, Stefan, my trusted friend and excellent,
Sure.
reader and writer. He always reads what I write, and he knows me well, and he knows my writing style, so he can give me really good feedback. And then in addition, I'll have some more formal editor to kind of, provide feedback. I think that's a really important process in a writing process, I think, to kind of have some kind of feedback and dialogue going on around the work. So it's a different form of thinking and creating, I think.
And how long did this book, Fearless Love, take you, right from the day one to essentially getting it out there?
So it took about a year.
Okay.
Because we started almost immediately, after the verdict fell.
Okay.
And then we published just on the 1-year anniversary. We managed to have a PDF and an ebook ready. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And so what is your next project about? Do you want to share anything about your next project with the people here?
Yeah. So the next book from Mohini Books is another book that I've authored, and it's called Becoming Buddha.
Oh.
So it's a sort of it's a collection of personal stories of my meditation journey, with also some kind of some suggestions on how the reader or listener can also try out some of these meditations themselves. So it's available. It's kind of a project, Becoming Buddha project. So it's available as a podcast, and it's available as an ebook now. And then I'll also eventually be doing sort of a meditation course based on the book. So it's a mix of stories and meditations.
That's amazing. As you were speaking, I could visualize things, and I'm not sure if you're really familiar or fond of the Mind Valley. The Mind Valley has created such beautiful courses and meditation and, podcasts and stuff like that. So something, I could envision you doing something similar. You might want to check it out. Vishen Lakhiani is the founder, similar, but of course different. Yes. So do you also publish other books, or you just publish, if somebody, can I recommend people to Mohini Books, or do you just publish your own books? Okay.
No, please do. Yeah. So we are, we do say that we're very, very small. So please excuse us if we can't take on new writers or if we can't provide good feedback, etc. But we are very open to submissions. But we suggest strongly that anybody who submits read our works and kind of finds out about us and knows something about who we are before they submit.
Oh. That makes sense. Absolutely. So you are actually kind of a hybrid publisher, or what kind of publisher would you call yourself? Because sometimes, the traditional publishers, you just pitch your book and then they take the author to the entire, marketing, publishing process, whereas there's these hybrid publishers where the authors put in some money, the publishers put in some money, and then they bring out the book. So what category would you be in?
I guess we're sort of, we're a micro publisher. We don't do sort of a partnered thing or hybrid thing. So we don't expect the contributors to or anything like that. But we are very, very small, and we would make a sort of individualized contract with the person who contacts us, I think. And for example, with the Fearless Love anthology, this was done as a celebration of the verdict, and it's a labor of love. So we are not earning money on it as a publisher, and the contributors are not getting any money for it either. So that's the kind of. So we decide, I guess, on a book-to-book basis on kind of how what kind of book it will be, what kind of book deal it would be. So yeah, but please, to everybody who's listening, and if you know about anybody who wants to kind of submit, please encourage them to do so. We are definitely open.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. And so how do people find you? Just mohinibooks.com, is that your website?
So our website is mohini.no. So NO for Norway.
Okay.
.no. Yeah, mohini.no. And on Facebook and Instagram, it's Mohini Books.
All
and
right.
also YouTube. So it's
Okay.
Mohini Books.
And is that also the link of your podcast? Because I would love to listen to it.
Yeah, so you'll find the podcast, I guess, typing in Becoming Buddha. I think it's probably the first one that comes up, or Becoming Buddha and my
Okay.
name. Yeah, yeah,
All right. So any last thoughts
yeah.
for our viewers here before we say bye?
Uh, no, I don't think so. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think we did pretty well,
I
being
think
first
so.
timers doing this.
I think so.
Yeah, and yeah, and I really appreciate being invited and having this kind of a conversation. Yeah, so
Thank
thank
you.
you.
And thank you for being so open and sharing authentically about your book, about your mission, about the publication. And it was love interacting with you. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. I think it's evening time for you. My morning is just starting. So you have a wonderful evening. You.
Thank you. You have a wonderful
Bye.
day. Bye
You
bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye. So, people, thank you so much for joining us. And we will be meeting again next Sunday. I think Antra will be interviewing some people. Until then, bye. Take care. Thank you. And happy Mother's Day.